What a big day for North American and EMEA BLGS qualifier number 4 finals coming to an end, and we now know the teams that will be going into the regional finals here for this scenario, specifically for North America, as Minus Tempo has a nice graph to break it down. But we can take these team by team and show you all of these regions as well. And there seems to be a little bit of a miscommunication or misunderstanding about some of these points, because we found out a weird little sneaky rule that allowed the benefit of one team over another, and some people were not too happy about this. Let's dive into and discuss what's going on in the scene right now. Deeds starting it off, BLGS number 4 qualifier winner on, by the way, a lot of you didn't know this, but he was on M&K. I had a lot of people asking me, why in the world is Deeds playing on M&K in finals? And he was looking great. I've actually seen a lot of people do this. Even Shuby, obviously one of the better controller players in the scene. I saw that guy hop on M&K before, and he looked absolutely deadly. So a lot of these guys, M&K seems to be somewhat of a wave for some, but yes, that is the case. Tripods are your winners for BLGS qualifier number 4. If you haven't seen it already, outstanding performance by them. A near 20-point difference between first and second here. NRG in second, Tripods obviously in first, 100 Thieves in third. I had a clip talking about, a suite going on with about what 100 Thieves is doing wrong or what they need to do, some changes they need to make. But honestly, 100 Thieves, in my opinion, are looking solid right now. Obviously, they're playing with a sub in this go round. We talked about Jaden Burton getting his visa, so everything's looking good for 100 Thieves right now. Will they run into some problems and arguing over at one another? Maybe in the future, but stat wise they're not doing terrible, right? 100 Thieves have already been looking good in the group stage or early rounds in BLGS with the substitute in Rambo. They've also had pretty decent performances in the other weeks, so they're making finals consistently compared to some of these teams that are playing with their full roster. So I'm not gonna down 100 Thieves right now. I think they're looking solid. Third place for this with the substitute, not bad at all. Also wanted to mention TSM in 4th place, Virtue, Lone Sharks, Leave No Witness in 7th, Furia in 8th, Cloud9 in 9th, Tezos Dorados in 10th, Liquid Alienware in 11th, CIMJ in 12th, Vision in 13th, which is a full console squad, by the way, Weave in 14th, Every Second Counts in 15th, Thuggets in 16th, Complexity, Virtus Pro, DNA, which is Nick Merck's squad, in 19th place. Let's not move that one. And then in the dead last position, you had the Do-Rag. So that is your North American finals. Now we also can break it down as to which teams are going into the regional finals. So as you take a look at this, you have some teams missing it by a hair. Unfortunate situation for them, but that's the name of the game. You're talking about the number 16 or top 16 teams minus any of those teams that have won one of the qualifiers. So that's how you're going to get your 20. The 4 qualifier winners and then the next 16 top points. So as it stands, obviously TSM dominated this whole thing. They looked really good. First place, I think, throughout the entire stuff, besides obviously qualifier number 1 winner going into Moist Esports. But after that, TSM basically really quickly got up on top of the leaderboards, and they stayed there despite not winning a single game or not winning a single qualifier throughout that entire state. But TSM in first. Tripods, I got to give it to Tripods. Not only did they win one of the qualifiers, but they have looked so consistently well and also got second place. I don't think many people predicted this. Tripods as a, we knew they were a good team, but a top team, they're looking great right now. Tripods at second. Furia, Moist Esports. So you could take out Tripods, you could take out Moist. So that means we're looking at the top 18. Then you've got NRG, Lone Sharks, Leave No Witness, Virtus Pro, Stallions, 100 Thieves, Virtue, Purple Slushy, Falcons, Cloud9, Complexity, which also won one. So we could take Complexity out of the mix. Nuggets, LG does barely make it. We talked about them potentially being on the edge. I mean, look at this, just a 60-point difference before they didn't make it. So LG finds their way in just by an absolute thread. Gods Among Men, which is Dig Vibes and his team, in 18th. They barely make it. And then the final spot in the point system goes to Oblivion. They barely make it. And it was only about a 30-point difference between No Name, which is the team that, quote, griefed or, had Hal very upset yesterday. And he, basically wanted to see them, was preying on their downfall. And they did miss it by 1 spot. Now you're wondering, well, we've only got 19 teams. Who's the 20th? Obviously, that last place would be going to Liquid Alienware, being that they did win one of the qualifiers. So there are your 20 teams here, and Minus Tempo did break it down to help us very easily understand this. It's not really rocket science. These will be your 20 teams going into that BLGS regional finals. Also, as we go into the EMEA scene, let's talk about the finals first, and then we'll talk about the overall scoreboard. So Atlas was your winner here, the number 17 seed. They obviously love to have this. This is G Dolphin and his team. This was a big day for them. I wouldn't say they necessarily needed the win, but they needed a good performance probably, and obviously first place is as good as you can get. So Atlas will be moving on, but that does mean since they're in that top, conversation, that will extend the invite to someone else other than the top 16. So that puts us around 19 spots or so. Nephilim in second, Aurora in third, Alliance in fourth, which already had their spot being that they've won some in the past. Eternal in fifth. Exo Clan needed that big of a game. Wasn't enough to punch their ticket into the regional finals. Obviously, we're about to cover that. Orglis in Hungary in number 7. NIP in number 8. Was that enough for them? 23 seed, obviously they needed a big day. Was that enough? Once again, we'll talk about it in just a second. UAIM in 30th seed before that. They get 9th place. A little bit of not drama, but misunderstanding, miscommunication about how the point system works. And this is where you saw this weird rule that came to kind of haunt them in the end. 3D Max in 10th, Mind in 11th, VCGO in 12th, Free Agent Kids in 13th. Game and Gladiators not getting performances that they need. 14th here. They really needed a big day. Just didn't happen. Nemesis in 15th. Forbidden full English. And FaZe Clan find themselves in 7th place or 18th place here despite being the 7th seed. And then you've got Content Gas and IDK in the bottom. So as this was the BLGS qualifier number 4 finals, we obviously got the update that we were all looking to see after the fact, and that was the overall regional final qualification. Who made it, who's in, and who is not. So as we break down these scores, once again, top 16 in score will make it to the regional finals, but anybody that's in the top 16 that have won one of the qualifiers, basically you'll extend it to the 17th, the 18th, 19th until we have 20 people. So the first 4 people in that regional qualifier or regional finals is Go Next, Alliance, Aurora, and Atlas, obviously, that just won. These are your champions from each BLGS qualifier. So Aurora and Alliance are top 2. We can go ahead and eliminate them. So that means we're looking for the 18th top spots. So you've got Eternal going, OAH going, Nephilim going, FaZe Clan going, BRG going, Full English going, Forbidden going, Golem going, despite them, having a little bit of a struggle this qualifier number 4. I was a little bit worried about them, but they did enough to stay in the conversation. Go Next, obviously, already won one, so now we'll punch it from 18th to 19th. Atlas in 12th. That now puts us at the top 20 position because these are all 4 winners in the top 16 here. Stay Healthy in 13th. They will make it. SJP2, Nemesis, and ExoClan will make it. NIP will make it. They barely do enough. And VCGO, Mind, and Danish will make it in the end. So here's where the rule, kind of got confusing. People were not really sure what was going on. So if you take a look at ExoClan, you'll see ExoClan has 3,420 points. That is the same amount of points from Fuda and K Swinney. However, Tyler FPS has more points, and that is because he was a substitute for multiple different rosters. And as long as you play, to our understanding, one game, you will get those points for that placement despite not playing necessarily in the full tournament. So that gave him a boost of how many points he had. And when you do the math, UAIM obviously just missed it out on one spot. So they were trying to figure out what was going on. How did we miss? This obviously sucks. And he goes through and actually thinks that it was a complete mishap or an error that just was a bug, right? It was something was wrong. Here's the idea. I've done the math and something's not adding up. Something doesn't make sense. But the screenshots posted above for reference, the official BLGS rules published on the website state 3.2.2. Each competitor who participates in BLGS qualifier earns BLGS points as detailed in Appendix C4 based on their team's finishing rank in specific round of the tournament. The rule states that the points are awarded for players playing in specific rounds, since points are awarded only for the team's position in the finals of each qualifier. Where were Tyler FPS's points from previous rounds included, since he didn't even play in these rounds for either Alliance or NIP? I'm requesting an official statement from the BLGS team regarding all this going on. And he even indicates these scorecards, but then Minus Tempo comes in to clarify. I can confirm the points are indeed correct. I asked about this after qualifier number 1, and the admins told me that if I played only round 1 for all the qualifiers, I would get the exact same points as all the TSM players. If I then swap to another roster, I would keep all my points. Theoretically, a sub from TSM, Moist, and Tripods could gain max points from Qualifier 1, Qualifier 2, and Qualifier 3, then create a new team for Qualifier 4 and auto-qualify for regional finals. How crazy and messed up is that? This is a weird little, trick around the rules that I don't really understand why this was a thing, but it definitely had some people pretty upset. And obviously you can see, like, that's so messed up. No way. This is so weird. Who would come up with a rule like that? So many people obviously were not too fond of this. It does suck at the end of the day, especially, not to play favorites here, but of all people, Max Strafe has probably had the hardest career in Apex and has dealt with so much crap over the years. You would definitely hope that this wouldn't happen to him of all people. But unfortunately, this guy it's like the world's after him. So I really hope the best for Max, and obviously, hopefully better days ahead. This sucks to see. Obviously, it happened to that team. Now, as we go into the regional finals, obviously we've talked about the specific teams that did qualify, but just a heads up, some of these team names could possibly change as organizations are getting more involved. We saw Space Station hinting that their possible return to Apex could be on the horizon. What exactly does that mean though, and who all organizations could be looking to step in, and who all would they be looking to sign? Obviously Lone Sharks are one that we anticipate Space Station could go towards. Tripods, being a top team right now, could be looked at by an organization as well. So interested to see what you guys think about all the topics down in the comment section below. What was your biggest surprise going into this? Honestly, I would say how well 100 Thieves did despite playing with the substitute. Very happy for this roster. And also Cloud9 did what they needed to do. They were on the outside looking in, and they did secure their spot. LG, they were struggling, and we were like, okay, this is not good for LG. They really cannot have a day one like that, and it happened, but they barely did enough to stay in the conversation. I would not be surprised if they somehow lock it in and show up big in BLGS. They seem to do good against higher level competition. When they have to play against randoms or people they don't know, that's when they seem to struggle a lot. So we'll see obviously if they can fix things, and maybe it can get a little bit better for BLGS regional finals. Let me know your thoughts down below. Like and subscribe if you want to stay up to date with everything going on inside the world of Apex Legends, esports, drama, stories, and much more. And until the next time, we'll see you all later.